When the FBI came knocking on Serena Williams' door with an impossible request, she knew her life was about to change forever. They needed her to go undercover in one of America's most dangerous companies. One wrong move could land her in prison. One slip-up could get her killed. But what she uncovered was bigger than anyone expected. Welcome to the story, Gook. Before we get into this wild story about corporate crooks, federal agents, and how a tennis legend became America's most unlikely spy, drop a comment and tell me what city you're watching from. And if you think sometimes good people have to take big risks to stop the bad guys, hit that subscribe button. This story will blow your mind. It was a Tuesday morning when FBI agent Catherine Chen walked into Serena's Miami office with a request that sounded like something out of a movie. The meeting was so secret that even Serena's own security team didn't know about it. "Look, Ms. Williams," Agent Chen said, getting straight to the point. "We've got a problem, and frankly, you might be our only solution." Serena had heard rumors about corporate corruption getting out of control, but she wasn't prepared for what came next. "We've been trying to catch this company called Meridian Industries for 2 years now," Chen explained. "These guys are dirty, and I mean really dirty. Tax fraud, money laundering, you name it. Problem is, they're smart. Every time we get close, evidence disappears and people stop talking." Meridian Industries was huge. Offices in 40 countries, working with some of the biggest companies in America. On paper, they looked like any other consulting firm, but the FBI knew better. "Here's the thing," Chen continued. "We need someone on the inside, someone they'd never suspect in a million years. Someone smart enough to understand their schemes and respected enough to get close to the big shots." She paused. "We need you to become someone completely different." Turning Serena Williams into Sarah Mitchell took 3 months, and let me tell you, it wasn't just about slapping on a wig and calling it a day. The FBI had to create an entire fake person that could fool some very suspicious people. They gave Sarah Mitchell a whole life story, went to Northwestern University, worked at a few consulting companies, even had friends who would vouch for her if anyone called. They got her an ordinary apartment in Chicago, an old Honda that had seen better days, and a wardrobe that screamed office worker who shops at Target. But here's the crazy part. The hardest thing wasn't learning to look different. It was learning to think different. Serena was used to being the center of attention, used to taking charge and making things happen. Sarah Mitchell had to be the opposite. Someone who blended in, who listened more than she talked, who let other people make the decisions. Imagine going from being Serena Williams to being nobody special. That takes guts. December 15th, 2024. Sarah Mitchell's first day at the office. The Meridian Industries building was one of those fancy glass towers downtown Chicago. 50 floors of suites and egos, where people moved millions of dollars around like it was monopoly money. Serena walked in wearing her new uniform. Navy business suit, sensible shoes, glasses that made her look like someone's accountant aunt. Her hair was cut short and conservative, and she'd mastered the art of looking busy, but not too important. Her cover story was bulletproof. Sarah Mitchell, compliance officer. Basically, her job was to make sure the company followed all the rules and regulations. It was the perfect boring job that would let her poke around in financial records without anyone getting suspicious. Her boss, David Park, seemed relieved to have her. "Thank God you're here, Sarah," he said on her first day. "This compliance stuff is killing me. The rules change every week, and if we screw up, the fines are massive. I need someone who can keep us out of hot water." If he only knew that his new employee was there to throw them into the deepest, hottest water imaginable. Within 2 weeks, Serena realized the FBI had no clue how deep this rabbit hole went. Meridian Industries wasn't just bending a few rules. They were running a full-blown criminal operation that would make the mafia jealous. She found out they were keeping 2 sets of books for almost every client. The official ones showed normal consulting fees. The secret ones, that's where things got ugly. Kickbacks, bribes, money laundering schemes, you name it. These guys were doing it. The real bombshell came when her boss asked her to review something called the Special Projects Division. The paperwork made no sense. Huge payments that didn't match any real work being done. When she dug deeper, she realized what she was looking at. Meridian wasn't just stealing money. They were selling American companies' secrets to foreign competitors. These people were literally selling out America for profit, and she was sitting right in the middle of it, trying not to let her disgust show on her face. Her tennis background had taught her to stay calm under pressure, but this was different. She was documenting crimes that affected millions of people, and she was doing it alone, surrounded by criminals who would kill her if they discovered her true identity. For 3 months, Serena methodically gathered evidence. She photographed documents with a camera hidden in her pen, recorded conversations with a device sewn into her jacket, and copied files to encrypted drives that she smuggled out of the building in her coffee cup. The most damning evidence came from senior partner meetings that she attended as the compliance officer. These executives spoke openly about bribing foreign officials, manipulating environmental impact studies, and destroying evidence of corporate malfeasance. She learned that Meridian had helped energy companies hide the extent of environmental damage from oil spills, assisted pharmaceutical companies in suppressing safety data about dangerous drugs, and enabled financial institutions to launder money for terrorist organizations. But the operation that shocked her most was called Project Checkmate. Meridian was working with foreign intelligence services to identify and compromise American business leaders, creating a network of corporate assets that could be manipulated to serve foreign interests. The scope was staggering. They had compromised CEOs of major defense contractors, energy companies, and technology firms. Through blackmail, bribery, and threats, they had created a shadow network of corporate leaders who were essentially foreign agents operating at the highest levels of American business. March 18th, 2025. Serena was in the office late, copying files from the Project Checkmate database when she heard footsteps in the hallway. Security shouldn't have been making rounds for another hour, but someone was definitely approaching her office. She quickly closed the files, removed the USB drive, and pretended to be working on routine compliance reports. When senior partner Marcus Webb appeared in her doorway, she looked up with the mild annoyance of someone interrupted during overtime work. "Working late again, Sarah?" Webb asked, but something in his tone suggested this wasn't a casual inquiry. "Quarterly compliance reports," she replied, gesturing at her computer screen. "Due tomorrow, and I'm still behind." Webb stepped into her office and closed the door behind him. Serena felt her champion instinct surge. The same hyper-awareness that had helped her anticipate opponents' moves on the court. Something was wrong. "You know, Sarah, I've been reviewing your work," Webb said, settling into the chair across from her desk. "You're very thorough, almost too thorough." "I believe in doing the job right," she replied, keeping her voice steady while her mind raced through escape scenarios. "That's admirable. But sometimes in our business, there are things that don't need to be thoroughly documented." Webb's smile didn't reach his eyes. "I'd hate for you to accidentally create problems for the company by being overly diligent." It was a warning, but was it based on suspicion or just general caution? Serena couldn't tell, and that uncertainty made the situation exponentially more dangerous. Of course, Mr. Webb, I understand the need for discretion in sensitive business matters. After he left, Serena realized her cover might be compromised. She sent an encrypted message to Agent Chen. Package may be damaged. Recommend extraction. But Chen's response changed everything. New intelligence suggests immediate action required. Target planning, major operation next week. Continue mission. The major operation was Project Prometheus. Meridian's plan to simultaneously crash the stock prices of 12 major American companies while betting against them through shell corporations. The manipulation would net them over $2 billion while destroying the retirement savings of millions of Americans. But it was worse than financial crime. The companies being targeted included major defense contractors and critical infrastructure providers. The crashes would create chaos that foreign adversaries could exploit, potentially threatening national security. Serena realized she had stumbled onto something that went beyond corporate corruption. It was economic warfare designed to weaken America from within. She had 48 hours to gather final evidence before the operation launched. But Webb was watching her more closely now, and she suspected that other employees had been instructed to monitor her activities. The pressure was unlike anything she had experienced, even in championship finals. On the tennis court, the worst that could happen was losing a match. Here, failure could mean the collapse of American companies and the deaths of innocent people. March 25th, 11:47 p.m. The Meridian Industries building was supposed to be empty except for security guards. But Serena needed access to Webb's personal files, which were stored on a server that could only be accessed from his office computer. She had studied the building's security system for weeks, memorizing guard rotations and identifying blind spots in camera coverage. Her years of athletic training had given her the physical skills needed for this kind of infiltration, but the mental pressure was entirely different. Moving through the darkened building felt like navigating a minefield. Every shadow could hide a security camera. Every sound could trigger an alarm. But she pressed forward, driven by the knowledge that millions of people would suffer if Project Prometheus succeeded. Webb's office was on the 43rd floor, protected by multiple layers of security. But Serena had learned his passwords by watching him type, and she knew his habits well enough to avoid triggering suspicion. The files she accessed confirmed her worst fears. Project Prometheus wasn't just about making money. It was about creating economic chaos that would benefit foreign adversaries. Meridian was essentially a terrorist organization operating under the cover of legitimate business. As she copied the final files, her secure phone buzzed with a text from Agent Chen. Building compromised. Security en route to your location. Immediate extraction required. Serena had 90 seconds to reach the fire stairs before security arrived at the 43rd floor. She grabbed the USB drives containing evidence of Meridian's criminal network and ran for the emergency exit. The fire stairs were her only option, but 43 flights in heels and a business suit would be challenging even for a world-class athlete. She kicked off her shoes and started running, taking stairs 3 at a time. Behind her, she could hear elevator doors opening and security guards spreading out to search the floor. They had discovered her intrusion, but they didn't know who they were looking for or how much evidence she had gathered. By the 20th floor, her legs were burning. By the 10th floor, she could hear security guards in the stairwells above her, working their way down. By the 5th floor, she realized she might not make it to street level before they caught her. That's when her champion mentality kicked in. She had won matches while injured, exhausted, and facing seemingly impossible odds. This was just another moment when quitting wasn't an option. She reached the lobby fire exit just as security guards entered the stairwell from the third floor. The door opened onto an alley where Agent Chen was waiting with a car, engine running. "Drive," Serena said as she collapsed into the passenger seat, still clutching the USB drives that contained evidence of the biggest corporate crime in American history. Within 24 hours, FBI agents executed simultaneous raids on Meridian Industries offices in 12 cities. They arrested 47 executives, seized millions of documents, and froze assets worth $3.2 billion. Project Prometheus was stopped just hours before it was scheduled to launch. The evidence Serena had gathered revealed a criminal conspiracy that involved foreign intelligence services, corrupt government officials, and some of America's most trusted business leaders. The trials would last for years and result in convictions that sent dozens of executives to federal prison. More importantly, the investigation exposed vulnerabilities in America's corporate structure that led to new regulations protecting against foreign economic warfare. But the most significant impact was on corporate America itself. Companies across the country began implementing new security measures and transparency requirements. The Meridian scandal became a turning point in how America protected its economic interests from foreign manipulation. The corporate espionage mission taught the world something important about hidden heroism and the price of protecting democracy. Serena Williams had proven that champions don't just win on playing fields. Sometimes they fight their most important battles in boardrooms and office buildings, where the stakes are measured not in points, but in lives and freedoms. For 6 months, she had lived a double life, risking everything to expose corruption that threatened the foundation of American capitalism. She had shown that true patriotism sometimes requires sacrificing fame and safety for the greater good. The executives at Meridian Industries never suspected that their downfall would come from a compliance officer who was actually the greatest tennis player in history. They underestimated the determination, intelligence, and courage of someone who had spent decades proving that champions rise to meet any challenge. So now I ask you, have you ever witnessed someone risk everything to do what's right? Have you ever had to choose between personal safety and protecting others? Share your story in the comments below and tell us what city you're watching from today. Because at the story Gook, we believe that the greatest victories aren't always won in public. Sometimes the most important championships are fought in shadows, where heroes work without recognition to protect the innocent and preserve justice. Thank you for watching. If this story of corporate espionage and hidden heroism inspired you, subscribe to the story Gook for more incredible stories that remind us that champions come in many forms. We'll see you in the next story. And until then, remember, the most dangerous opponents aren't always the ones you can see. Sometimes the greatest battles are fought by people willing to risk everything while asking for nothing in return, except the chance to serve justice.